This program is intended for mature audiences. Parental discretion is advised.
All right, and we are live, ladies and gentlemen. David Black joined.
Hello, David. How you doing? Do we got you there?
I'm doing well.
Checking to see if anybody's muted. Nobody's muted, so everybody should be able to hear us. David Black is it safe to say you're a musician and a filmmaker?
That'd be correct, yeah. I would have said when I was on the show last time that I'm not making music anymore, but we just made a song for Toxic Alien Zombie Babes from Outer Space. So you end up falling back to all of your artistic skills when you're making a film.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely. Well, thanks for coming on. I know we've been planning this for a while. We were going to talk about something a little bit outside of pop culture. We're going to talk about the lost secrets of Freemasonry and vibration theory. And when I mentioned this to Tom last night, he knows a little bit about vibration theory, don't you, Tom?
Yeah, just a little bit. Well, just a little bit of, I may have gotten into some weed and had my own ideas about it. That's what happens when you smoke weed alone. You come up with vibration theory. So I guess, I don't know, my thought on it, I was thinking about, how like a lady can, or I guess a guy can probably do it too, but they can make a sound and break a wine glass.
Oh, yes, yeah. That is a physical explanation, something that you can do with vibration. But the concept with the law of vibration is that all energy is made of matter. It's matter under stress. And you measure energy via its vibrational rate. It's because at the subatomic level, all of the atoms are always moving, so there's always a vibration. Now, every thing that we've got, from light to sound to colour, can actually be measured via its vibration, but nobody's ever put it into one great big long scale of vibration. Basically, whoever decided to measure sound, I think they chose hertz. So you've got this spectrum of hertz. Whoever decided to start measuring light started measuring light. But if you could put it all on one great big long line, you'd find that we're only measuring very small chunks along the whole spectrum. That
kind of
there's
like
these
the visual, it's like in the visual spectrum, we only see the color part, which is very, very small.
Yeah,
compared to infrared and all the other stuff you can see, but our eyes can't pick that up.
Oh, no, what I was actually saying, but you are correct. What I was getting at was that in between, say, sound and light, there's this massive gap. It's a bit like when you look into space and you see stars. They look a bit close together, but the gap between the actual stars is actually massive. So there's a lot more out there in space than just the bits that we see. So what we actually measure is very little that's along the scale. And we have no idea where it starts, where it finishes, or if it starts, finishes. But the idea with an application to vibration is correspondence. So if you add the law of correspondence, you mentioned before music. If I play a middle C and then I play a high C, one is double the vibrations of the other. And if I play both together, they appear to blend. So you can correspond, which would probably explain some of the concepts that people have with hell and demons. Because at first it doesn't make sense that you're going to have a demon who is a higher being than us that is actually interested in a realm that is a lower realm. How could that be? It's a corresponding vibration. And that type of idea is also expressed in the chakra system. In a lot of the Hindus, you've got energies that come through the body, and I believe that they're sort of recognized by science, otherwise, you know, as in acupuncture. But wherever lots of these meridians of energy come together, you end up with a nexus, which the main ones are the chakras. You've got a nexus here, here, throat chakra, heart chakra, just above the belly button, base chakra. They all correspond to various energies. And the base chakra, which is an interesting one for our plane of existence, corresponds with fight or flight. Fight, flight, or can I swear?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, I don't mean to be rude, but I like the 3 Fs, fight, flight, or fuck. And the importance of those is survival of the individual, survival of the species. It's the main energy of our realm is a base chakra energy, because if you don't fight or run, you will get killed. If you don't have sex, there will not be a next generation. It's the survival of the individual, the survival of the species. And the way we're actually put together is that no matter what we do, we cannot get away from these things. For instance, I'm a vegetarian, and a lot of people say, oh, yeah, but, and they try to find that point that I must be doing something evil, you know. Okay, you're not killing an animal, but you're killing a plant, and plants have feelings. Well, I hate to tell you that when you breathe, you are killing and changing microscopic particles. You cannot get away from the actual energy of this realm of existence. But I've probably taken that a little bit further than what you meant.
No, that's okay.
When you were talking vibration theory, I thought you were talking like somatics, which that blew my mind. A Masonic brother not too long ago introduced me to somatics, and I was watching YouTube videos on it, and that just blew my mind. I couldn't believe that. You know,
well, Freemasons, when it comes to their own mysticism, like to talk about sacred geometry. It's related. It probably doesn't make a lot of sense when people watch Hellraiser and they see Leviathan, and they finally see that Leviathan is this shape that is always changing. But it does make sense. I mean, it would be like trying to explain to somebody that's never gone to school or gotten into science that the moon is actually influencing, due to its mass and its shape and where it is, influencing the tides on this planet. So a large body changing shape is going to influence things. But I don't know how advanced Clive Barker was when he came up with these things, but I sometimes believe he might know a lot more about these things than me, because one of his Hellraisers, the 4th one, just had a lot of metaphysical ideas there that I don't see in horror movies. A horror movie tries to scare you, like you get a jump scare. They've got all of these tricks to suck you in, and you basically get away from your rational mind and become connected emotionally, so you don't question things. So when he had in Bloodline a being sucked into this universe through a ritual, in his ritual, he actually hits a few things that are correct, like something comes into this universe, something gets sucked into that, equal displacement of energies. In order to attract a being that is a hell being based on base chakra energy, they are trying to get as much energy into the air of sex. There's a lot of sex in it, and a lot of violence for fear. So the fight or flight and the sex. So they're just generating all of this energy. It's like putting out chocolates for little kids. You're going to get little kids coming running, where you get me come running along if you put chocolates out. You want to you want to attract the demon. Demon chocolates are basically fear and lust.
That's the part of your brain is the hypothalamus. That's my favorite part of the brain. It controls sex, hunger, and fear, fight or flight.
Wow.
Yep. Tom is a medical expert.
That's handy. Should we be talking about the Freemasons, or did we get in here to start
No,
teaching people how to raise
talk,
demons?
We can talk about whatever you want.
The problem with teaching people, teaching people to raise them is someone will actually go out and do that, and I don't want to take any responsibility for somebody deciding to go out and have an orgy and kill animals to raise a demon, because the majority of people that actually do that don't actually understand what they're doing. For instance, they naively think that if they bring a demon into this world, a really powerful being, that it's actually just going to do what they want them to do, what they want it to do, or that they could negotiate with it in any way. That's crazy. The most advanced practitioners don't raise demons. What they do is learn to channel the energy themselves. In other words, you generate the energy, you don't give it away to a demon and expect it to do what you want. You have channeled it, you've got it, you now use it for something. So that's why a lot of these Satanists come up to a pretty bloody end in a lot of cases, or insane.
So what you're saying is there is basically two realms, and if you take something out of one, it creates a concentration gradient and has to go back to an equilibrium, so something else comes out of the other?
Easier way to explain it, if I've got a bucket of water and I put my fist in it, it's going to displace water. So there's going to be a displacement of mass energy. Now, what you've done is you've created a corridor from one world to another. So if you're going to displace energy in that, something's coming through to here. It might not be equal in size. For instance, in some way it's going to be equal, but it might not be equal in physical size. For instance, not everything that we consider to be matter and solid is actually equal. To give an example, and I don't know if with these things I'm going to make sense, so stop me if I don't. But when a person picks up a glass, imagine that's a clear glass, not a red one. It's clear, and you see that it's empty. It's not empty. There is light in there, but there's not only light in there. There is sound. There are particles. There's odor. There are numerous things in here because not everything has the same density. For instance, when the neighbors play music next door, the bass comes through the wall much louder than the guitar, because the higher sounds, more of it's being stopped by the wall, and the lower sounds are able to penetrate the wall more. Not everything takes up the exact same space. So if we're talking about a realm, you know, a hell realm or a heaven realm, and you're saying, where is it? Well, it's right here. It's just not taking up the exact same space. It's different in vibration. What you're doing is creating a corresponding vibration to open up a corridor to another realm. And I probably forgot what the question was there and didn't answer it. Sorry about that.
Believe it or not, you asked the question to yourself, I believe.
We were just talking about displacement, how the displacement works. So, yes, because you've created a corridor, something will come through, but it won't necessarily, like if a demon comes through and it happens to look physical and it is the same size as me, etc., you know, I expect it to be the same size as me because somebody the size of me just got sucked through. It might not be that way.
Okay.
Well, it's like
what gets sucked through the other way? Like, how do you? Is that just random? Like, it just grabs some random and pulls it through, or what? How does that work?
I don't know. I've never done it, and I'm not. We're talking theories.
Yes, definitely.
So I'm not a Satanist that's gone off to the woods and decide, or I've never tried to bring something into this realm. The other thing with bringing something into this realm is that if we consider water to be another realm, we can all jump in the water but how long can we live in that before we die?
Mm-hmm.
When you bring something into this realm, you know, there's just so much out there that that I'm totally lost to even think about it. But how long is it going to survive? What's going to change in here? What chain reactions could it create?
It's making
It's
me
very
think,
dangerous.
Stranger Things, where it has to change the environment.
And vice versa, you know, how long can a fish survive out of water? But then you have animals like turtles that can survive in water and outside of water.
Yeah. If we think of all of the species of animals on this planet and all of the insects and everything, well, in all of creation, the mind boggles as to how much it would actually be there.
Wow.
But,
Wow, Dave,
yeah,
you want to go smoke a bowl with me? You want to get high together, man?
I haven't had a smoke for a while, but I do love a smoke. It opens another corridor in your mind, and you find that a lot of practitioners of not just mysticism, but even scientists, most of them took acid.
Okay.
Things did not happen for them until they took acid. Now, I don't mean for people to go out and start getting high all of the time. Every time I took drugs when I was like 17 to whatever age, I haven't for years, I took them with a purpose. So there was none of what I see nowadays where somebody says, oh, I'm going out to the club. So they all start drinking some beers and they have a few bongs. And then the next person says, oh, yeah, let's have some speed and let's add this. And over a weekend, you know, I mean, they're just killing their bodies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've got some friends that did, what is it, DMA? And they said that
MDMA?
Yeah, that's it. They just opened up their third eye. Like they could see other dimensions. It was so trippy. I haven't tried it myself, but I couldn't even imagine doing that. Don't do drugs, kids. Don't do drugs.
No. And you know what? A funny side story. When I was going through one of my psychology classes, I was reading about heroin. And I was literally reading the book going, are you trying to sell me heroin? It said it felt like an orgasm in every single part of your body, even your teeth. And I'm like, I want to have an orgasm in my teeth. What is this college book trying to sell me heroin?
It's amazing that people will talk about heroin and, you know, speculate. Nearly all of us have actually had it.
Yeah.
Every time you go in for an operation or have to be put under anesthetic, the morphine they give you and the painkillers they can give you after, they're basically exactly the same as heroin. I took heroin a few times, and the first thing I noticed, like when I was 21 and I went to get my wisdom teeth out, was that they gave me a drug called pethidine. They did it in 2 doses. The first was a little bit in my hand before going in, and I went back and I go, oh my God, this is exactly like the heroin that I wasn't taking heroin anymore at that time, but I tried it. So this is exactly like heroin. A few years ago, I had cancer and they gave me oxycodone. And I thought, oh my God,
Been there.
This is also like heroin. So we've all had it. The problem with drugs is abuse of drugs, not use of drugs. All drugs should basically be made legal. It'd save the Western world a hell of a lot of money. It would take away an opportunity that is being exploited by the underworld and criminals, and you'd be able to have on the side of the packet exactly what you are getting, have it as pure as you can get, and have proper information out there instructing you on how to use it. And I think in a lifetime, if people did that, they might take heroin once every 6 or 12 months. It's a very dangerous thing to take, even under supervision. For instance, I'm into movies, and Bela Lugosi became addicted to morphine. It was prescribed for him for his sciatica.
Yeah, the morphine, the better.
And he wasn't the only one to have gotten addicted to it. It's a very, like, I'm talking like that's a long time ago, but there's a lot of people that get prescription painkillers and they get addicted. So they're very dangerous if misused, and even doctors can misuse them. But I don't believe in saying, no, you can't have them. Just because I haven't taken drugs for many years doesn't mean that if they weren't freely available and on the packet, I might say, okay, a weekend's coming up. I would like to achieve something up here and spiritually, so I can now take X dose of whatever. I'm giving myself time to recover, to go back to work. I don't have that option. I'm not buying crap that's come in from the street. I did that as a risk when I was younger, and you take great risks when you're younger. I wouldn't now. I don't know what the crap is.
Yeah. I believe heroin or morphine became currency, and I believe it was World War I between the soldiers, because that was standard in the first aid pack they were issued.
It was speed.
Yep.
Speed became...
That was the Nazis in World War II, I believe, but I do know that...
Oh, no, it came out with World War I, but the Nazis in World War II...
were big on it.
Oh, yeah, the Nazis are incredibly big on it.
It was super soldier serum.
I forgot what their brand was called. But, yeah, they were super huge on it. But if you look at the...
Yeah, well, I think the Nazis the Nazis just wanted to keep their soldiers all drugged up, so they wouldn't lose their edge,
led to paranoia and led to them killing each other.
Sneak up on guys that are awake for 9 days.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we all know what speed does to people, because it's a major problem in our society. And there are a lot of people with speed psychosis. So once again, I mean, I took speed not many times, by the way, but I remember taking speed once before drawing some cartoons. And the amount of
making
ideas...
cartoons or watching cartoons?
No, I was a cartoonist.
Oh, you were? Okay.
I was a cartoonist.
Well, you're a cartoonist too. I didn't know that.
Remember,
musician,
he was
filmmaker, cartoonist. You've done it
all over Melbourne. His posters were.
Yeah, I was the editorial cartoonist for The Truth, but I took this before I was the editorial cartoonist for The Truth. One thing with being a cartoonist or any artist is you're always measuring how much better you're getting. And I was always working myself, you know, like for me, I probably shouldn't have worked this way, but I worked myself in a very stressful way that I was pushing myself to do better, better and better, because I was never happy with anything that I drew. And this one day, I'd taken some speed and I sat down to draw a cartoon strip, which was a half-page cartoon strip for a magazine. And I couldn't believe how many ideas I was able to keep at the one time. So whereas I'd normally be struggling and trying to draw this and try to draw that, and then saying, oh, no, I forgot this, I've got this perspective all wrong, just everything just was drawn in record time.
I thought you were going to graffiti the whole half of a city block with cartoon.
No, they weren't hyper detailed or any of these mistakes you expect to happen. What happened was I was thinking absolutely clearly, and I drew in record time one of the best cartoons of that year for myself. I got better later on, and I thought, my God, this is good. People that used to use it for studying, you know, found that they could remember heaps of stuff, but then, of course, they'd forgotten it the next day, so they're using it to swat back in the 60s.
It's basically Adderall today.
Yeah. To give another example of it, and I'm just really guessing, but have you ever watched Robin Williams' early performances?
Yeah.
That guy was on something. Absolutely on something.
Well, I know from when he was making Popeye, he was on cocaine. He was coked out of his mind through the whole making of Popeye. So,
well, cocaine makes you speedy too.
Yeah.
Now, I know that Robin Williams, with the suicide, a lot's come out since that he actually had a degenerative disease that he was aware of. So I don't really want to get really personal, but I do think that if you're using speed or cocaine, which makes you very arrogant and actually makes you very speedy, I believe if you're
I know
using
people on cocaine.
Yeah. Oh, no, in our industry, there are actually people that don't take cocaine that actually are narcissists. Narcissism is a different problem. At least with cocaine, if somebody's not a narcissist and they're getting arrogant, they might come down tomorrow and realise what an absolute prick they were. But But I believe that for the amount that Robin Williams must have been taken to be going on TV so many times and just be keeping 50 ideas at once and jumping from one character to the other character to the other character, I'm not saying he did it, but it looks to me like he did. I think that's like hopping in your car and deciding just because it can go 160 kilometers an hour, you're going to drive it as close to 160.
We're American, David. We're American. Miles per hour.
100 miles an hour. Well, pedal to the metal.
We
you
don't
get a
do
car.
metrics.
You get a car. You're told it can go this fast. Let's say it's 150 miles an hour. You don't drive it at
You're in our realm of speed.
Yeah, you do not drive it at 150 miles an hour all of the time. And you know, let's say it's got a turbocharged boost, so you get this little extra. You certainly don't drive it like that. Taking drugs to try to get more out of your body is going to reduce your life. So when I talk about drugs, I believe they should be legal. But I think once they're legal, then people can talk about responsibility. A bit like alcohol. Unfortunately, there are alcoholics and there is alcohol abuse, but it's legal. You don't get thrown in jail for going to the doctor and saying, I have a problem with alcohol. You can go to Alcoholics Anonymous. The cops aren't going to be waiting there for everybody. See where you score your alcohol from. Try to get your dealers. Making drugs illegal has caused a lot of problems. And we haven't even touched on the Freemasons.
All right.
Not yet.
Yeah, should we? We were going to tell about the lost secrets of the Freemasons. Actually tell people what the secrets are.
I need to know.
Well, Chris, you're doing the Scottish Rite.
I'm in Scottish Rite. Yeah, I'm a 32nd degree Scottish Rite Mason.
Yeah.
What's a degree mean?
Could we call it a grade, like in school?
A grade, rank, something about
Is
that.
higher or lower better? Is it golf or bowling?
Higher.
Higher is better?
Yeah.
Okay.
In actual Freemasonry, there's only 3 degrees. There's Entered Apprentice, there's Fellowcraft, and there's Master Mason. There's no, high-level ranking Mason. People always say, like, well, my uncle was a really high-ranking Mason. There's just 3 ranks in Freemasonry. It's the appendant body where you go up.
This is
quite
what
often
I'm
call them.
Breaks on you guys.
They'll call them side degrees. Now, I did a different rite. I've done. You've done the Scottish Rite. I'm in the York Rite. I'm not active anymore, but I did my first 3 degrees. Instead of going on and doing a 4th degree, well, actually, I did my 3 degrees, and then I did all of the chairs. Starting from you're in a guard right up to the master of the lodge, and then being the immediate past master, then a past master. But after that, I then looked at the other degrees. So I did the Mark and I did the Holy Royal Arch. And I decided I didn't really want to spend more time on it after that, because I'd actually joined Freemasonry as a promise to my grandmother. Or maybe 10, 15 years before my grandmother died, she came up to me and she showed me this. And I brought it along. You'd recognise one of these. And it's called a Past Master's Jewel. And I didn't know that that's what it was or what Freemasonry was. And she asked me what to do with it. And I thought, that's a stupid question. It's a World War II medal. You keep it. She goes, no, it's not a World War II medal. It's a Past Master's Jewel. Well, anyway, my stepfather was a Freemason. So he took the Past Master's Jewel back to the lodge that it was from, which is Lord Lincolnshire. I think you can read that on there somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
So he took that to Lord Lincolnshire. And what happens with the Past Master's Jewel from any lodge? Oh, there it is, up the top, Lord Lincolnshire. So what happens is that gets donated to the lodge. When you become a master of the lodge, you don't have your own jewel because you're not a past master. So in memoriam, you get given somebody else's past master's jewel that you wear. And you remember the previous people that have been through the lodge. And then you get your own jewel when you become a past master. Well, many years later, my grandmother was on her deathbed. And she did worry about me way too much, and I'd achieved a lot. I mean, I've been the editorial cartoonist for The Truth, and I'd done so much stuff, but she just seemed to worry. She always said she liked the things I did, but I know she didn't identify with anything because she wasn't into punk rock. She wasn't into the comics. And I just happened to say, I'm going to join the Freemasons and I'll wear great-grandpa's past master's jewel. So I ended up joining, at first, Mount Scopus and Collegians Lodge, and I eventually went to Lodge Humanitas after a few years, and I went through and I eventually wore my great-grandpa's past master's jewel. And a couple of other certificates came to light where he'd done the mark and he'd done the Holy Royal Arch. And I thought, look, I'll throw them in for good measure. And when I'd done all of that, I said, I'm finished. You know, I've kept my promise to my grandmother, which took me over a decade.
What do you got to do to go up the ladder?
Well, basically, you don't really have to do much. If you've done your first degree, they will have you do your second degree. They'll make a time. They'll say, look, we'll run the second degree in 3 months' time. We'll put you through. And look, we'll run the third degree for you in 3 months' time, put you through. So as long as you've done the degree and you're not an idiot, you're not stuffing around.
Like, what does that mean? Like, what are you doing?
Well, Freemasonry, now, this is where I'm going to start telling the secrets.
Okay.
And just so that Chris doesn't
I'm still an active Mason, so my brothers are going to watch this, so let's not give away any of the active, like, current secrets of Freemasonry.
Oh, no. When I explain this, you'll realize you won't be offended, and I won't have broken my oath, and I won't have broken yours. The Freemasons tell you what the secrets are. Actually, before I get into that, I want to just point out one misunderstanding about Freemasonry. People say that Freemasonry is a secret society. It's not. When you drive past a lodge, there's a great big sign on the front that tells you that the lodge is there. When we used to have the yellow pages, you could go to the yellow pages, look up Freemasons for Melbourne, and all of the lodges, or most of them, would all be listed. If you're a secret society, you don't tell people that you're there.
It's a good way of explaining it to it. I never thought about that. I'm going to have to use that from now on. Usually when people ask me about it, I said, we're not so much a secret society as we are a society with secrets.
And that's the truth. Yeah. Now, when I look at anybody...
There is more that we can tell you about Freemasonry than what we cannot tell you about Freemasonry. That's what I tell people.
Well, I can get onto that too, and you can correct me if you believe I'm wrong, because we've done different rites, but I actually did do the third degree twice. I did the Scottish Rite one as well. So not because I failed or anything. We happened to have a Scottish demonstration team in town, and I just finished doing my third degree, and they said, do we have a candidate for the third degree? And all of the boys in the lodge just said, yeah, take Dave. He's just done the third degree. I got to do it in 2 rites, and they're very, very similar. But getting back to it, yes, Freemasonry is a society with secrets, and so is every one of your neighbours. And I'm not talking about their personal secrets, but we've all got our passwords to get onto Hotmail and to get onto Facebook. We've got our PIN numbers for, for your card, to get your credit card. So we all have our secrets. So Freemasonry is a society with secrets, and they tell you what the secrets are. They tell you the secrets of the passwords, just like the password for Hotmail. The secrets are the handshakes. So, maybe one day it'll be decided to get into your Hotmail. You'll give a secret sign. Now, getting back to those, I won't tell you what they are. Those are the secrets. Those secrets were actually set after 1717. When the in 1717, it's a very special year. I should point out what happened. Before 1717, Freemasonry was a secret society, and there were lodges all over England, Scotland, Ireland, and in England, 4 lodges got together and said, why don't we announce our existence to the world? They certainly couldn't have before. I mean, think of it this way. That's 1717. The Salem witch trials are 1770. So that's a long way off too. The level of fear and prejudice and what could happen to you if you're a member of a mystical secret society, well, these guys took a big risk. So 4 lodges decided to get together and create what was a Grand Lodge, standardise Freemasonry, standardise it, and start giving out charters. So when they got together, they set the secret signs and the handshakes. Before that, they actually used to get changed on a regular basis, just as you would. You would if you have a secret society, you regularly change your handshakes and your passwords. So they stopped. They've actually been, although they are the secrets in one sense, they're actually nothing more than a tradition, because they're in every single Masonic exposure book going all the way back to pre-Grand Lodge Freemasonry. Before the Grand Lodge came together in 1717, there was 4 or 5 Masonic exposure books. There's one called 3 Distinct Knocks, and I can't remember all of the names, and they all gave away the secrets of the Freemasons, because the true secrets of the Freemasons aren't that. When you do your 3rd degree, you're told that the light of a master mason is but darkness visible. Now, some people go, you didn't tell me the secret. What they're telling you is to go out and seek the secrets, the truth. To go out and what they give you in your 1st degree, your 2nd degree, and your 3rd degree is a number of techniques. They tell you Freemasonry is illustrated in symbol and veiled in allegory. Now, you start looking at any mystical system that's out there, it doesn't matter which one, majority of them have symbols that are to be interpreted and allegories where you glean the idea of what's happening. And the way they put it together is in what's like a medieval passion play. You become the center of a physical play, which is allegorical. You're supposed to learn something from that play. Now, when you start to go to other side degrees, you go through these plays and they give you more. In the mark, they give you a cipher. A lot of mysticism has ciphers, like the famous Utbash cipher. Kabbalah, some people think that that's uses you would need a cipher so that you can work out the gematria and the notaricon and the different ways. So once you've gotten, as you go through the different degrees, you're being taught more ways that are used in mysticism to actually learn it, because a lot of mystic societies hid their secrets. They were afraid that they would be killed. People were afraid they would be persecuted and killed, and people were persecuted and killed. Now, if you look at the old charges of the Freemasons, there's roughly 100 documents extant going from 1390 to the 1500s. These old charges that still exist, they give you the rules for Freemasons. And when you start reading them, they don't make sense of why they would be needed. Why does a man that is supposedly working on a cathedral that takes 150 years to build need charges to tell them that they've got to give shelter to a fellow craft or a master mason that's come, that they've got to do all of these things for them, and how you are to act when given lodgings? If it's a 150-year job, you're going to have, what, 5 or 6 generations on it, and you're going to live there for your life. You're not traveling. These are old charges relate to what is needed if you're running an underground railroad. So I believe that what Freemasonry has done is try to give the candidates tools to being able to understand the secrets. A lot of the guys come through and they think it's literal. I don't know if you've done, oh, you wouldn't have done the Ark. That's in the York Rite. But actually, rather than the Ark, let's go back to pre-Grand Lodge Freemasonry to the third degree. The third degree you did and the third degree I did was based on the building of King Solomon's Temple. We did a play on that, and in that the secrets were lost. But that was how things were standardized. Before the Grand Lodge, the third degree was different from not lodge to lodge, but you get a cluster of lodges that had one based on the flood, on Noah's Ark. And what happens is there's a pillar that has all of the secrets on it that will not burn. And there is another pillar that has all of the secrets on it that will not sink. And with the flood, the pillars are lost, and you have to go and find the lost secrets. Another one was built on the building of the Tower of Babel. And in the mix-up of languages where no one could communicate with anyone anymore, the secrets get lost, and you are to go and get the secrets. So all of these boys at Lodge that take the story literally forgot that it's illustrated in symbol, veiled in allegory, and the allegory from one pre-Grand Lodge ritual to another in the third degree is always the same, that the secrets get lost and you must go find the secrets. And what you're given is the tools for the preservation and the finding of mystical secrets. And if we look at Freemasonry in practice, have you heard of Gerald Gardner?
No, I haven't.
Gerald Gardner is considered like a father of Wicca. He didn't create Wicca. Wicca already existed. Basically, there were a lot of people that still practiced the old ways, despite the Crusades and, you know, the Inquisitions. If you went around Britain or the UK or even throughout Europe, there's still people practicing the old ways. Gerald Gardner comes along and he creates what is, he's considered the founder of modern Wicca. He gets in contact with the number of people that he's found, women that are practicing these various rituals, and he takes the Masonic structure of initiation and degrees and starts to organize all of that information into this structure, and it becomes the basis for modern Wicca. In a way, he virtually saves it, because if it's just 2-3 households in a village that are practicing something that's been handed down for 400 years and enough people die, 3 people die, it's the end of it. So he preserves it. And people quite often say, oh, Freemasonry is Satanism. You know, look at Gerald Gardner. No, Gerald Gardner is a Freemason, and was into preserving the secrets of a place. So in a way, I've actually just told you the true secrets of the Freemasons.
You got that, Tom?
Yeah. Preserving it before it's lost.
It's your life's journey to seek the truth. That's the secrets of the Freemasons. You're being given various tools. You're given a moral structure to start with, which every good religion has. Without a moral structure, you can't progress. And that might sound like, oh, Dave's a goody-goody, but I think me saying legalised drugs proves that I'm anything but a follower of all this, you know, society claims is good, you know. But let's look at, I think we're all familiar with the 10 Commandments. That's a good one to start with as a moral structure. Did you want to look at somebody else's, maybe? We'll go with the 10 Commandments, or I'll confuse myself. People say, you are following the 10 Commandments because your God told you to, and you're afraid you're going to get punished. Well, that's good enough to tell a little kid, and that's good enough for the beginning of mysticism. You know, your basic religions are really the foot in the door for something that's more advanced. And we start with simplistic explanations. Now it says, do not covet thy neighbour's ass. Basically, don't get jealous. Now, let's say you are a person that is really, really jealous, right? And I say to you, my God, that is a really good hat. You don't take the compliment as being that I genuinely believe that that's a good hat and that's all I'm saying. You think, yeah, it is a good hat and he's jealous of it. He wants it. And you start to distort what happened. You can't see clearly. If you're a person that is full of hate, you know, and I say that's a really good hat, you say, yeah, no, he hates me. He's picking on me. Now, every one of these moralities that is given to you is a basic structure, which you get a basic structure in the Freemasons, but you also get basic structure in Judaism, Buddhism, Christianity, Islam. These are helping you to be able to see clearly when you look at something, because it's only through clarity of thought that you'll get ahead, because mysticism is logical. It's not silly. It's not, I mean, the basic laws of metaphysics, science is always catching up with them as time goes on. So, yeah, Freemasonry starts you off quite simplistic. A lot of these boys take it literally. They think, oh, I just got additional information that's not in the Bible about Noah's Ark. No, you didn't. What you got was an allegorical story that you are supposed to be able to pull out the meaning of it. And what Freemasonry is telling you is be the best you can.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Learning is a lifelong process, and Freemasonry gives you a moral structure, and it gives you all of that. Now, I'm not going to tell people what the passwords and handshakes are, and congratulations to anybody that picked up a Masonic exposure book and actually got them. If I rock up to your lodge tomorrow, Chris, and I go to give the handshake, I'm not getting in the door. They won't let me in the door for giving the handshake. They won't let me in the door for giving the password. Basically, if I want to rock up to your lodge, I'm going to contact your lodge well before, tell them I would like to come to your lodge, and I have to bring my papers to show that I have left my lodge in good faith, that I have a dispensation, or bring something to say that I'm me.
Yep, you need your dues card. Just your dues card, so we can check your number.
Yeah.
So you bring one of these, and then you just come on for a minute. But yeah, it's customary to notify the lodge before you go.
Yeah, you don't just rock up. Well, you don't even just rock up in Melbourne either, because they've got to feed people. So they want to know roughly how many they're catering for. So, but yeah, the passwords, they're a tradition. In fact, if I can go back to that original third degree, 1717, do you know why they chose the building of King Solomon's temple and not the Tower of Babel and the mix-up of languages, and not the flood?
Why?
Before 1717, the boys were told you have to memorize everything.
Mm-hmm.
You weren't allowed a book. You know, there are ritual books. In fact, anybody can pick up a ritual book. They might not want to sell them to you at a Masonic place, but you see them all of the time. Somebody's passed away, and their old regalia and their lodge books and that are there at the second-hand shop.
Mm-hmm.
What happened was they didn't have them then, and people were told to memorize them. So what happened was, as soon as a fairly accurate Masonic exposure came out, all of the boys of the lodges would start buying them up, and the stories went out everywhere. Freemasons don't want you to have their secrets. They're buying up all of the books. Well, yeah, they were. They were using them as the original, as the original book. Some of them, like if the story came out and it was King Solomon's temple in this one, and a lodge was using Noah's Ark, suddenly the boys would have a meeting and they'd all agree, we're going to change the ritual and go with the King Solomon's temple one. It was because of the exposure books.
Mm-hmm.
It's very hard to memorize that much information.
Yeah, there's a lot of memorization. There's a lot of memorization in our degrees in America. We have to memorize our pledges for each of the degrees.
Oh, same here. It's a lot. It's a lot. You spend forever. Mm-hmm. And if you're expected to, you are not allowed to write it down or have a book. It's incredibly hard because you and me, we probably practiced our bit with the lodge book in front of us. Mm-hmm. And we went over it and over it. Well, somebody did an exposure book. Out of all of the exposure books, the most popular ones were the ones with King Solomon's Temple. So the Grand Lodge chose the ritual of King Solomon's Temple. Mm-hmm. It's not quite the story people think, that the Freemasons were running around trying to stop people getting the secrets. You can put all of the secrets in front of somebody and they still won't get it because you have to be prepared to understand.
Tom, if you're interested in Freemasonry, just ask.
I was going to say, how do you become a Freemason? Do I have to be like Meatloaf and Fight Club and just sit outside the lodge door until they finally let me in?
To be one, ask one. To be one,
pick up the phone. Pick up the phone. I should point out that if you've got a criminal record, you won't get in. Now, that doesn't mean a parking ticket. But, no, you have to be a person of I don't have a criminal record, by the way. So, and I'm glad I don't because I enjoyed my time at Lodge. But as I said, I finished. But, no, they give out pamphlets. And you know what it says in the pamphlets? Freemasonry is a peculiar something or other, illustrated in symbol and veiled in allegory. I haven't
Or you talk to a friend that is a Mason. And can bring you to a lodge event.
But what if the guy really needed to be punched and you have a little bit of a record?
Well, then you know what? We take him out back, and after we slaughter the goat, we beat up the new guy.
No, I meant to get in. What if you have a little bit of a criminal record?
Honestly,
you won't get in.
Honestly, what's going to happen is the lodge is going to meet and they're going to vote on you. This is where the term blackball comes, was originated. Everybody votes. Everybody gives you either a white ball or a black ball, and each member of the lodge votes. If you get one black ball, then you're voted out.
You don't get in.
But I know some lodges will, if you're, I don't know how do I put it, repentant of your criminal record, and if it's not like you murder or anything like that, some lodges may let small offenses go. I mean, what kind of criminal record do you have, Tom?
Oh, just disorderly conduct.
Look, if you got busted and it was just for a bit of smoking, a bit of smoke, keep in mind that marijuana is being legalized in a lot of states. So if you happen to be in a state where marijuana is now legal, a lot of the boys are probably going to say, oh, but it's legal nowadays anyway. Would we hold it against somebody that they got busted for drinking during the Prohibition era? Not that you could, because they'd be dead by now, but you get what I mean?
If you have a friend that's a very high-ranking Freemason that's very well connected, living in the Milwaukee area, for let's say, he might vouch for you.
Well, usually there's no problem for the average person getting in, as long as you don't have a criminal record, as long as you profess a belief in a supreme being. Now, it doesn't have to correspond with any of the more established beliefs. When I joined Lodge Humanitas and Mount Scopus and Collegians Lodge, mainly because I was an ex-collegian of Mount Scopus, and that was a Jewish lodge. But my belief in God, I now realize it conforms with Judaism if you follow Kabbalah, but we didn't have as much information on Kabbalah back then because there's no internet. It's hard to get good information on some things. So I now know that my beliefs in God actually conform right into the heart of Judaism. But to explain to somebody that hasn't studied Kabbalah, which none of these boys had, my beliefs probably didn't conform to theirs at all. And they just stopped me when I went to explain, said, you've said that you believe in a supreme being. That's enough. Your supreme being can be any being. Mm-hmm. It can be any interpretation, because Freemasonry does not discriminate against religions. When you go into a lodge and they are about the preserving of knowledge, you have got a Quran in there. You will have a Old Testament, you'll have a New Testament, you'll have every religious book that they could get. You know, so I mean, if I rocked up to Mount Scopus and Collegians and said, well, you don't have a Bhagavad Gita, and I've got a copy here, would you like it? They would have said yes and put it there. I think they're usually inside the dais, the pedestal, but there's no hard, fast rule. If you go to the Grand Lodge Library in Melbourne, anybody can go in there, and it's just all books on Freemasonry and mysticism and displays of jewels and that. So you've got all of the religions there. It is very much an open-minded society. Now you could say, oh, it's all about boys. Well, no, there's actually women's Freemasonry. There's also appendant orders like the Order of the Eastern Star. There are so many more in America that you couldn't get through. But not all Masonic groups recognize each other, though. But I'm 100% sure that because I was at the United Grand Lodge of Victoria, it would be recognized by, in America, by the Shriners, and that I could go along and there's mutual recognition. But yeah, there's not always recognition. But yeah, well, I've actually covered there what the actual secrets of the Freemasons are. Oh, what I didn't cover, I wanted to say that you can put information in front of people, but if they're not ready for it, they won't absorb it. A simple way of explaining it. Do you remember The Wizard of Oz? You watched the film? Well, correct me if I'm getting this a bit wrong, but as they follow the yellow brick road, right, Dorothy just wants to go home, right? The Scarecrow wants a brain. The Cowardly Lion wants courage. And the Tin Man wants a heart.
Oh, the Tin Man wants a heart. Yeah.
Well, Dorothy already could have gone home from the beginning, but she had to realise that home is where the heart is. The Tin Man already had a heart, but he had to realise it. And the Cowardly Lion, he had to realise he did have courage. And it's only through going on the yellow brick road and being challenged and seeing all of these things happen and having to act and react that they realise they already have what they are seeking. Now, the truth is right in front of you all of the time with so many things, but you might not be able to see clearly or know clearly. So you need your moralities so you can see clearly, and you'll see far more than you ever saw before. And you need to practice something, you know, and mature so that you can then understand just basic things that you've always been told. Or maybe you did understand them immediately at a level, but as you become a deeper person, you will see things on many more levels with the greater depth. You'll see the interconnectedness, how one thing is influencing the other. So, yeah, I have told everybody the secrets of the Freemasons, but only those who are unable to understand are going to have learnt those secrets that I just told them. And those that haven't, I've pointed to the path. Now, Freemasonry is not a bad little path to go on, and you can call up. I've just basically finished up because I made a promise. I thought that promise would only take me a year. It took me 12. I can't remember how many. But I did learn along the way that every time you do an appendant degree, and I haven't done them all, I haven't done 32 of them, and I only did the Mark and the Holy Royal Arch, but I did read the Mark, the Ark one, and I found that with all of these, they always gave you something extra. Now, I could be wrong, and I find that that only happened in the first 5 or 6 that I've seen, and then there's 28 more where they haven't taught you anything extra. Although I do actually recall reading all 33 degrees. I got sent a paper from the United States that had the full 33 degrees in it.
Is that the highest number?
33. Well, technically, once again, they're not. It's the highest number, but it's not necessarily the highest. But getting up to the Shriners, the 33rd degree, it takes a while, doesn't it?
Yeah, the 33rd degree is an honorary degree. That's not one that you can technically earn. That's granted to guys that have contributed greatly to the craft. You know, old timers. 32 degrees, 32nd degree is the highest that you can achieve on your own. It's 32nd rank, or the 32nd rank that it's honorary.
Yeah, the 33rd degree is also only for people that look good in a fez.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in Scottish Rite we have hats. Not
I
fezzes,
love the fezzes.
Yeah,
I would love one. I wouldn't be able to afford one of the little cars, but that's an important part of Freemasonry. Not so much little cars, but the purpose behind them. All lodges raise money for charity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Shriners here in America do an amazing job. They have the Shriners Children's Hospitals. There's one in Chicago, and it's a hospital that doesn't charge anything. They don't charge kids. You know, any kid, you can be from anywhere, and if you're a child that needs health care, you can go there and get free health care. If you have cancer, you can get free treatment.
We've got a Freemasons hospital here, and we've got Freemasons homes. I can't remember all of the details about them, but I do remember that you automatically, when you paid your lodge dues, $2 went to the Freemasons homes. So you had your pin there saying the Freemasons homes. But yeah, the Freemasons raise a lot of money for charity. So yeah, but we have actually told the secrets, and those are secrets that a lot of Freemasons themselves don't know, because they go in and they might be very staunch Protestants or very staunch Jews, and they only see what they saw before. So they believe Freemasonry doesn't conflict with my Protestant or Jewish beliefs, and I've just come across additional lost stories from the Bible, and they don't get the teachings. They don't understand that it's it tells you that it's not literalist. It says illustrated in the symbol, veiled, and allegory. So they won't go off to finding out about all other religions, but they won't be prejudiced, or ideally they won't be. I will say this, and it'll come out sounding really shit. Awesome. But I did experience anti-Semitism in the Freemasons.
Oh, that's not awesome.
No, it's not. Only happened at one function where it was overt. Only one. And you've got to remember that 10, 11 years in the Freemasons and only finding it in one, you can expect that no matter what your ideals are, there's somebody that's not going to live up to them and who's going to be able to hide their prejudices. Mm. But also in Australia, things may have changed now, because I was the Master of Lodge Humanitas in the year 2000. So momentous year to be the actual master. I got invited to join quite a lot of them, and they hadn't de-Christianized Freemasonry in Australia yet. So they said to me, "Oh, do you want to join the Knights Templar? You have to kneel down and swear an oath to Jesus." This sort of precludes anyone that's not a Christian. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of the bullshit started when I said, well, hey, they made me pray to Jesus in state school as a kid. I can't see a problem with it. And all shit hit the fan. It's like, you're not putting a Jew into the Knights Templar. I could go over to America and join the Knights Templar tomorrow. It's de-Christianized in America. Mm-hmm. But the United Grand Lodge of Victoria takes time to catch up. The Lodge, worldwide, Freemasonry, despite me saying that most people don't appear to understand the secrets and have it incorrect who are in the Lodge, Freemasonry is actually kept on track from its original purpose, which just absolutely mystifies me. There is a lodge, I think it's the name of a lodge, Quater's Coronati, and most Masonic libraries get this big, thick book every 3 or 4 months from Quater's Coronati, and it's been going for hundreds of years. And basically anybody can get up at Quater's Coronati Lodge and deliver a lecture. You don't have to be a Freemason. Anybody that believes in anything whatsoever. So if I believed that there were UFOs out there and there's a UFO religion, I can get up there at Quater's Coronati and start talking about my belief. It will get recorded and it will get put into a book. And this book goes out to Masonic libraries around the world. So in that crazy way, I can see that at a high level, Freemasonry remains on track year in, year out, and has for centuries. So, but at a local level, the master of my local lodge, or even the grand librarian, might not have a bloody clue and just think it's an extension of their own religion and they're just being tolerant towards me being a Jew, being allowed in it. They might have all of the wrong ideas, but it's still, that information is given. It's like saying with Christians, you are given 10 commandments. You can't say Christianity failed just because so many Christians don't follow them.
Yeah.
So we've actually given away the secrets of the Freemasons.
So now, Chris, are you in trouble?
I don't think so.
Should I explain the term darkness visible?
Sure.
All right. It's the most misunderstood term out, and it's not purely just in Freemasonry. So I didn't take a term that only appears in the third degree and give away a secret. Darkness visible is used in Paradise Lost, a famous book. The term's been used in quite a few places. Now, what it means is that I did not give you the light. I did not give you the truth. What was always there around you that you could not see is now visible. In other words, if you imagine that you're in a room and you're in the dark, there are things in that room. You might you might trip over something in the room, and if you don't have any clue, you get oh, I forgot the word. Instead of being logical about it, you might think that some great God just tripped you over and not realize it was a footstool. You've been given the tools to find. You haven't been given the light. You've been given the tools. So the darkness is now visible. The things that were always there are now visible to you. Does that sort of make sense?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the word I was thinking of was superstition. A lot of people, our ancestors were afraid of many things and they got superstitious. What you've been given in Freemasonry is tools, so you won't be superstitious.
Okay.
Every degree gives you another tool, and they're the working tools of the Freemason. Now, the working tools of the Freemason, because we are symbolic, is not the square and the level and the compass. We don't need to use a square, a level, and a compass to work on ourselves. Our tools are the teachings and techniques we're given.
Yeah, I'm just absorbing it, so it's hard for me to keep the conversation
I think
going.
when they talk, when they refer to like the square and the level, like the square is to square away our actions, make sure that we do the right thing. You know, level, we're always on the level. You know, Freemasons always, we meet on the square and part on the level.
And those terms are in society.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you, fair and square. You know, we say fair and square. That a lot of that's come from Freemasonry, but that's taking the tools from the builder's trade and talking about them allegorically and applying them to ourselves to work on ourselves as people.
Yeah,
it's not a religion. A lot of the people that talk about there's a Masonic conspiracy to take over the world. Well, let me put it this way, and this logic will just go over any conspiracy theorist's head, right? Any organization that has been trying to take over the world for hundreds of years is not worth worrying about, because it only took Bill Gates from the time he was maybe 18 and thought about Microsoft to the time he was 30, pretty much to take over the world. I'm not against Bill Gates, but it only took Steve Jobs that long. It only took Richard Branson that long. But look, if Bill Gates wanted, he could actually change how you spell Freemasonry in Word. So every time somebody types Freemasonry, it changes the spelling. And he has, and basically would be spelling Freemasonry differently within 1 year. Yeah, those boys, Steve Jobs has passed away, but those boys took over it's only taken Mark Zuckerberg X number of years to take over the world. If an individual can take over the world in their lifetime with just 10 years worth of hard work, don't tell me there's a Masonic conspiracy to take over the world. These are people that are who blame Freemasons. Those people that think there's a conspiracy are looking for excuses for their own failure, and Freemasonry is the opposite. I'm not looking for excuses for my own failures. I'm just simply looking to improve myself, and I've been given a number of tools. I haven't been given a mark that I've got to reach, because that you'll never reach that. Now, other enemies of the Freemasons are basically organisations that feel that the Freemasons are competing with them. You had a lot of problems with the Catholic Church fighting against the Freemasons. But the Catholic Church fought against the Protestants, they fought against the Jews, they fought against the Gnostics. Basically, the Catholic Church went on some very violent crusades and had inquisition because they fought against any belief that was not theirs. And even if you believed in what they believed in, they'd still fight you because you actually had to go through their system. This is one system fighting what they consider a challenge. I think the Southern Baptists fight the Freemasons, probably because Freemasonry was big in the southern states. And, the Baptists are thinking, they look like a church.
Yeah, it's still big down south. Yeah. Of course, down south, they don't accept, or some of the lodges don't accept the Prince Hall Freemasonry. So there's a divide there. And Prince Hall is the African-American Freemasonry.
Actually, that's a very important point. Freemasonry is for all people, but we all interpret things from our own views. So after the end of the American Civil War, when a number of freed black people, hopefully I didn't use the wrong term, I'll say African-American, when they sought to join lodges, they were told, you cannot. And when asked why, some people, Albert Pike in particular, said, when I swore my oath to my fellow brothers, I didn't swear it to a black man. Now, that doesn't make sense to me. It's about the brotherhood of man. So African Americans set up their own system. Keep in mind, the same people that knocked back black people being able to join the lodges and considered those lodges to be white, they also broke off from Freemasonry and created the Ku Klux Klan. Because it's just too difficult. I mean, Freemasonry does have a long way to go. So does our society. When I was a kid, as a Jew, I went to a state school originally. And the first state school I went to was in a heavily Greek Orthodox area. When it came to religious instruction, there was only two flavours, Greek Orthodox and Catholic. So I got thrown into with the Catholics. Well, we'd already had Vatican II that said that the Jews are not guilty of killing Jesus. The nun that was running that always made me sit in the back of the class, always made comments about the Jews killed Jesus. When everyone was given things to colour in, I was eventually given something to colour in at the same time as the kids, but the nun wouldn't look at my work. So, Australia had only just gotten rid of the White Australia policy. I grew up in, I'm not even going to say bad things about my parents or grandparents. I got born into that. It's only through their attitudes, just like through my attitudes, that things continually change for the better. So hopefully, if Freemasonry in Australia and the other orders haven't been de-Christianized and opened up to everybody, I do hope that they are moving towards that, just as we have moved in the West to the vote being given to people, then the vote being given to women, then the vote being given to the natives of the land. Aboriginals were not allowed to vote here for a long time. I don't know if that was the same for Native Americans. So we're part of a process of improvement. And yes, it is very shameful that African American people were not allowed to join lodges, and I do certain lodges, and I do hope that that changes.
Oh yeah, it has. It has.
Yeah, God knows how we will be viewed as evil people in 2 generations' time when people look at now, and I believe it's what's in a person's heart. If you got born into a redneck family and only got taught that all of these other people were subhuman, you'd have to be a very powerful mind to break away from that, to realize it's not true. So I admire anybody that tells me that they were brought up that way and do not feel that way. Whereas other people are looking back and saying, gee, you are a bad person, you're a member of the Ku Klux Klan. I'm thinking, my God, that was all around you and you had the forethought to realize it was rubbish and to break away from that and to make efforts. So I believe we're going to be looked at as being evil in 2 generations' time as things improve. But I will not look back and say that my parents, my grandparents, my great-grandparents were evil. I believe they had a good heart, but to go against the accepted norms of your time and to realize something is immoral or wrong on your own it's an amazing achievement. I think Freemasonry brings you the tools to help you that because of the clarity of mind.
Yep, I think that's what its purpose is. All right, well, that's probably all the time we have for tonight. I think that
that's all my brain can take. I'm
gonna have to have you on again to continue this conversation, because I feel like we just touched the iceberg, tip of the iceberg again.
I think we actually explained it all.
Yeah.
What we'd be going into is other details on the side, like you might want to talk about the law of correspondence, or you might want to talk about sacred geometry. I think basically what we talked about was your basic cake, and now it's waiting for the various icings and little bits to go on. But your basic cake really is don't kill, don't steal, don't cheat, don't be jealous. You know what I mean? We've all been given those, and we gave a rational reason of how it benefits you by following them. That Freemasonry, I believe Freemasonry, when looked at, is a very rational. For mysticism, I believe it's very rational if people can understand what they're being told, that is a symbol. That is an allegorical story.
Yep. All right. Again, thanks for coming on. That gets one of these. All right, David Black, thank you for coming on. And if you're watching this on YouTube, give us a thumbs up. Losers, click the thumbs down and give us a subscribe. We'd greatly appreciate it. No show next week. It's Thanksgiving. We're American. We have to eat a lot of turkey and mashed potatoes and green bean casserole and all that kind of stuff. But we'll be back on December 3rd. Until then, have